Welcome back, I'm Ben Van Kirk, and today I'm going to make a Christmas tree box that goes underneath the Christmas tree. Well, it's sort of a box. Come on, I'll show you how. For this project, I'm using some 3/4 inch pine and some 1/4 inch plywood that I had lying around the shop. I'm going to make the finished height of my not a box 11 inches tall. So I'll just rip this plywood down to 11 inches to start. Next, I'm going to cut 2 side pieces at 21 inches in length on my miter saw. I'll also cut a front piece at 24 inches in length. Notice how I didn't mention a back. I'm not putting a back on mine. That's why this is not a box. It's a U-shaped Christmas tree decoration thing. My Christmas tree sits up against the wall. You'll never see the back. So I'm just not going to make a back. Saves a little time, saves a little money, makes this thing a little bit easier to store away. We'll see how it works. Next, I need to add some sort of design or frame to the outside of this just to spice it up a little bit, make it look nice for one, and two, add some rigidity to this 1/4 inch plywood we're using that's really thin. This will just kind of give it a frame so that it stays nice and straight and doesn't curve and bend and warp, and make it look a little bit nicer. For this project, I'm going to do 2 different styles. On the front, I'm going to put a frame around the edge and an X. On the sides, I'm just going to do some slats so you can see some different designs that you could use while you're making these. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that if you can get away with not measuring, you should do it. So to get the length that I need to cut the top and bottom piece, I'm going to line up the edge of my plywood on the end of my 1 1/4 inch strip. Then I'm going to use that and put a mark right on the other edge of this plywood where I need to cut this board. So I'll cut 2 of those that length, whatever it is. And just like when I'm making cabinet face frames, I've clamped the top piece of my frame to the top and bottom of my plywood. Now I can take a measurement. So I'll cut 2 pieces that length to create the frame for our square. And those are going to fit in nice and tight. This is the point where if I was making a face frame, I would glue this all together and put some pocket screws in here to hold it together. But since this is a decorative piece, I'm going to skip that part. It's really just more for looks. To secure this, I'm just going to use a little wood glue, line everything up, clamp it in place. Next, I'll secure this with some brad nails, but instead of going through the front, which will show, I'll actually just put a few in the back to hold this together while the glue dries. Now I'll repeat this process for each side and the bottom piece. That looks pretty good, and I suppose we could stop there. However, I see a lot of these online that have some sort of X piece in the middle, so let's figure that out next. The next thing I need to do is cut an angle on this. I have no idea what this angle is, other than it's some sort of 90-degree angle that will fall in this place. So the first thing I did is line my board up where I went with the edge of it right in the corner. So I'll put a mark right in the corner. Next, I'll mark where this meets the top and bottom rail piece. So I've got 3 marks on my board. I'll transpose those marks around, and using a very tiny square, line up all 3 of those marks. Now I'll just scribe my line, and that should be the cut that I need to make. I'll go ahead and make this on my miter saw. Moment of truth. It's going to be a pretty good fit, and I can live with that. I'll just repeat this process on the other side. One other tip is I made 2 of these at the same time. Now I just need to figure out where to cut this in half in order to make it fit on each side. I could do some half lap joint or something like that, but for a piece like this, I'm just going to cut it where I need to. Again, I'll just line it up in my corner, draw some marks where I need to cut, and I'll cut that cut on my miter saw. Next, I'll just glue all of this in place and secure it with some brad nails behind like I did the rest of the frame. One other note, when I glued this down and nailed it from behind, I went ahead and marked out where my nails should go so that I don't just shoot through the plywood and put a bunch of random holes and nails in my piece. And that'll do it for the front of the box. For the sides, we'll take a different approach so you can see some different designs. And I'll start each side like I started the front by getting a frame built around my plywood backer. When I did that though, I cut 2 extra pieces. So instead of cutting 2 side pieces, I actually cut 4. I'll now divide the space up into 3, and I'll add a couple of more side pieces in the middle here to help fill up the space and give it a different look. And that's what our sides will look like. Pretty easy. You could do this all the way around if you didn't want to try the X trick. I'm in my garage and I'm about to finish this off. I'm going to use some stain because that's what I had lying around. Real quick though, I want to take a second to introduce the sponsor of this video, Keith. Keith gave me the idea for this just the other day. I had no idea what the heck a Christmas tree box was until Keith told me about it. So if you like the content, you like Keith's idea, let him know by hitting that like button down below. All right, let's get this thing finished. The next thing you want to do is connect the box together. To do this, I'm going to use these little hinges. I'm going to start by just putting one in the corner to hold this together. It's not really heavy duty, it's just to hold it together and allow it to fold and collapse when it's not in use. To hold everything together nice and square, I'm just using these right-angled clamps that I picked up on Amazon. And one hinge was a little too flimsy for me, so I actually went with two and put one in each corner. And it's just a little bit more solid. But I know what you're thinking. How are we going to attach the other side? I really don't know. I have an idea. We're going to see if it works. And this is what I decided for the other side. It's these little latches that I can secure in the top and bottom corners. This will keep it upright and it's a little bit loose. This is going around the base of a Christmas tree, so it's not for industrial use or anything, and it holds it up. It looks fine on the edge. So maybe not the best solution, but it does allow me to break this all down and store it away when I'm not using it for most of the year. What other ideas would you have out there? Leave them in the comments below. I didn't want to put a hinge on here because I was afraid that, you know, if I fold this side in, this side wouldn't fold in, right? Because it's going to hit. So at least with these latches, I can take this all as one piece. I can break it apart and I can store it away for the holiday seasons. What would you do different in that corner? Let me know. And there you have it, your very own Christmas tree, not a box looking cover deal. Want more projects, tips and tricks on how to work with wood? Then watch this next video that YouTube thinks that you'll enjoy as well. Thanks for watching.